Hey, what's up, guys? The Fearless Investors Podcast. Here we are with you. It's just me, Kyle Stanley, this time with you. Halame is in Nashville as we recorded this. And so, what I've got for you, though, is crazy interesting. So, Garrett Brown on the podcast here today is talking about glamping. And really, my question was like, does it work? Is it really worth it? And when you see the type of glamping that he is promoting, you're going to understand exactly why this works so well. So we're not talking about an RV. We're not talking about a teepee. We're talking about a geodome plus a mirror house on one 11-acre property. That's the really amazing thing about this. And if you're watching right now, you're going to see that mirror house and it's going to blow your mind. If you're listening, just click on the link in the show notes so you can follow along and see these photos because this place is unreal. And we talk about the numbers. We talk about, kind of just like, again, the question behind all of it is it worth it? And you're going to be blown away by these numbers. We're talking about close to 100% ROI all in just year one based on where he's at in a very saturated market, mind you, in Houston, Texas, where there's tons of listings and people complaining about like, I'm not getting any bookings anymore. Well, this is something that's been 90+% occupied, both units on this property, any given month of the year, which is what's extremely exciting about this. He's not dealing with competition like the rest of the market is. So with that being said, let's get to it right now with Garrett Brown so that he can deliver all of the details, all of the information about glamping in Houston, Texas, and also how you can use this in your market with both a mirror house or a geodome. Hey guys, welcome into the Fearless Investor Podcast. Fearless Investors. I got to get used to saying that. We just changed that, Garrett, recently. So I'm excited to have you on here, man. We got connected and I saw your places and I was just like, this is so unique, so different. This is fun. Let's get Garrett on the show here. So excited to have you on. But as always, man, I got to ask you, what's your craziest short-term rental story that you've got for our audience?
I have a couple. Thank you for having me on, by the way. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Great content and education. I have a couple, and I'll definitely lean towards. I had to get a bat out of a property,
Oh,
uh,
fun.
not long ago. Yeah, that was.
I'm just thinking of Tommy Boy or Black Sheep, whichever movie that was.
Yeah, so that was a hopefully a once in a lifetime experience. Luckily, no bat was harmed in the process, or any person. So yeah, no harm, no foul. But yeah, that was at the top three for sure of my short term rental career.
Now I'm also thinking of the scene from The Office when Dwight puts it right
Yeah.
over. Oh gosh, why can't I think of her name? The redhead. But is that how you did it? Like, did you have to get pots and pans or a bag, or like how'd you end up getting it?
Yeah, basically mop bucket and a baking sheet. Yeah, and a broom. No lie.
Oh
That
my
is
gosh.
so anybody has bat problem anytime, give me a
Yeah.
call. I do charge an expertise fee, but I'm here.
Call Garrett Brown or Dwight Schrute. And I just thought it was Meredith. Meredith was who he threw the
Yeah.
bag over the head of. Garrett, I'm excited to talk about this property, man. I am going to go ahead and just show this while people are listening / watching. If you are with us live, you're about to see this and it's immaculate. But if you are watching on the YouTube channel, you're in the right place. If you're listening on the podcast, I really want to encourage you to just go down to the show notes right now. Click on the link. It's Cameron Ranch Glamping.com. And this place is super cool. So, Cameron, this is why Garrett, this is why that might happen again, by the way, because,
No worries. No worries at all.
but I'm thinking to myself, like when I saw this property, I'm like, yes, I got to have this guy on because I just needed to know what was the inspiration for a mirror tiny house. And for those of you that aren't seeing this right now, it's literally a tiny house in the middle of the woods, pretty much, and it's just mirrors as walls on the outside. It's wild. So, what was the inspiration for this?
So when we initially set out to make a glamping site, because we also have a geodome that we built as well on the property, that we really wanted to have this the most unique. I have a little bit of a marketing background, so we know the product always just makes it so much easier to sell it,
Yeah.
and we knew we really wanted to get to the market in a kind of little bit of a close to getting oversaturated side in Texas. So we knew we needed something that was kind of show stopping. There's a lot of teepees and tents, and there's even a lot of geodomes, which we knew initially has done very, very well, but
Hmm.
we knew we wanted something different when we were building the property. And we linked up with a company that's actually from Eastern Europe, Estonia. They go by the Oud. They're the Oud House or Oud Hotel Company. They do a mix of both, and they aligned completely with our vision. Their product is, it was an easy kind of turnkey thing for putting it on there. We also, there's a lot of things not showing that we put outdoor bath. We also have their sauna feature, and we really just wanted to create something just jaw dropping in nature that we knew the modern amenities, of other glamping sites weren't going to be able to compete with, and we beat a lot of people to market. So it's been going very well recently, and we're pretty excited for the future with it.
So I've got questions on both sides, the glamping of the mirror house and also the geodome, but I want to start with the mirror house. So the fun questions first, I guess. When you look at a mirror house, biggest question that comes to mind is like, wait, what if something hits one of those mirrors on the outside and you got to replace it? Like that just sounds like a disaster. Have you had anything like that happen yet?
No, so these are this company has been there's tons of these in Europe. So there's only
Okay.
a couple of them that have made it to the States. There's only I think
Okay.
4 sites. They're industrial strength, top of the line, whatever I'm not a window expert. I'm sure the Oud president and all of them could rave on for hours about the exact window strength and things, but they're some of the highest quality windows you can make. They bring them in from Europe actually, and now they put them together in Houston, Texas. And there's also a UV film that's on the outside of them that animals can see, especially birds in particular, and humans can't see. So as long as you put it, this is a normal house. I wouldn't put it right up under, big tree branches that look like it are dying or anything like
Right,
that.
right, right.
But we have it just a little bit back, so you can still see the panoramic view of the forest that we sit on. But yeah, it's like a regular tiny house. With anything with big windows, it's the same. If you get industrial strength, it'd be the same kind of building principles to where you would locate it and the infrastructure under it. We can see, we have a deck around it, but it's a
Yeah.
concrete slab under because it's a tiny house. It's 221 square feet, but it weighs quite a bit because bath and everything else is
Oh,
inside
for
of it.
sure. For sure. So on the inside, when I'm in there as a guest, it just looks like a window that I'm looking at. The entire house is just looks like a window,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I can show a quick screen of
Yeah,
it, but yeah, it's basically at night. It turns into all windows just because of how the sun works,
sure.
specifically with it. But during the day, you can see right out a different way. This is a daytime view of it. So during the
That's awesome.
daytime, it is a mirror place, and at night, it is fully all windows. But we do provide curtains, and it is extremely secluded. We have 11 acres, and we designed it that way that there's no potential chance of anybody being in the area around there, anyways.
So the next question that comes to mind is just like, all right, what kind of wildlife is out there, and has there been any deers or bears or anything? Just thinking like, hey, I see another one of me. I'm gonna go get interested and go right up to the house. Has there been anything like that?
No,
That's
we
good.
live next to a national forest, and I will say surprisingly, the only thing that uh, I thought I would see more of is maybe like wild hogs. But there's a typical, you'll see deers and things like that, but they don't really come near. They're so now there's lights and things everywhere, like solar, string lights, and the deers are very, very smart, surprisingly, and at least in avoiding this. So luckily, no, I don't have any wood right by me, but knock on wood, luckily, I haven't dealt with it and don't have to anytime soon.
Now, I know you've got the outdoor bath and you got a little some fun outdoor stuff, but just the mirror house itself,
Hmm.
right? You said that it's a European company. They design it, they ship it out to you. What does that cost even before plumbing or electrical or anything? What's that cost just to get it right there on your property?
I'm pretty sure their turnkey just drop unit like that with bathtub comes with the water heat. The only thing on the inside I had to put in was a mini split AC unit, which cost about 3,000. But all in for just the unit, you're about $135,000.
Okay. So how does that compare to call it, in the area, a one bedroom or a two bedroom house?
So it depends on your mission. So the thing is, I knew what I was going to with this property. I have, I built a few glamping, very unique structures as far as the dome and the mirror house. And then I also have a house at the front that I was able to acquire the land with and get it for, an owner occupied loan for 5% down. I'm renovating the house some while, we're using it as a short term rental, but I knew what my vision was all the time going into it. So if you're using this to, if you're using this for a short term rental or you're looking into those, it's very cost efficient for what it is and how, because I could have bought, built an A frame or even my geodome. It's extremely luxurious, a little, probably about double the size of the mirror house, but
Okay.
the mirror house can command a higher rent, and they both cost about the same to build. The dome is probably a little bit on the lighter side. It was also my first unique structure build, so there's a little bit of a, like an idiot tax in there for not knowing some of the things I knew. Overspent a little bit on things,
Yeah.
but overall, this type of product, if you can get it something that can rent in the 350 range consistently, and it can get it for under 150,000 for the unit, almost turnkey, it's kind of a no-brainer on a lot of aspects, especially if you don't have construction expertise and you've just never done anything like this. They make it very simple because they already have the product pretty much. They've learned from a lot of their mistakes, so it was definitely good doing it both ways. Building the geodome was about the same cost. I was able to learn some things though, so for going forward, I won't make the same mistakes. And then this was another good experience as well too, working with a company that has been in this space for 10, 11 years, leaning on people's expertise.
Absolutely. Did you just tell me that you're getting 350 a night on average?
Oh yeah, easy.
My goodness. And I know based on what you and I talked about before, you're booked all the time.
Oh yeah, all the time, at least 90% every month. And we've been, and the geodome as well. Geodomes does amazing. We probably could raise it up a little bit, but yeah, these things they do killer. Especially if you're good with your marketing, and the outdoor amenities are so key too. We have amazing outdoor amenities at both of them.
All right. So let me make sure I got these numbers right because you told me that with this company all in before doing some of the other stuff, the outdoor bath, the electrical, all that kind of stuff, you're around like 135.
Yeah,
At 90% occupied at 350 for the year, that's $115,000. You're almost making
yep.
100% ROI year one. Is that about right?
Yeah, no, yeah, we do. We're very close. The outdoor amenities and area did, infrastructure is very costly, but now that we're adding on more units, we're only going to get more profitable now because roads, septic, wells, getting, cool with the permitting department,
Yeah.
all that costs a lot of money. But now that we have established a lot of that, it's just gonna go up a lot more. So yeah, and we're
Were
only
there
gonna,
financing options for this or did you have to buy it with cash?
So I'm actually in the partner program for them, but you can buy it cash. So that's a little bit different, nuanced thing because I had my own glamping site, so most people wouldn't fit that bill. But you can pretty much buy it cash. You probably could find some type of financing if if maybe with a local bank, especially if you're out in that community or you got good relationships.
Yeah.
Just because it is solidly built, permitted place, like it's going to be worth what you're getting it for. So I'm sure there's people out there that would. But yeah, no, but for the dome, there's not many financing options. But now that have a proof of concept, finding investors is a little easier now. This next go around.
Well, and when you're doing something super unique like this, I know a lot of people who have places in Houston and how saturated it got,
Super.
and they're just like, oh, I'm just not getting the bookings I used to. This
Mhm.
this is in a whole league of its own, and this is really to me where people need to be going with short-term rentals. And I mean, aside from not being able to do a 5 or 10% down option, like this is an incredible return, guys. Like I hope you're hearing this
Absolutely.
right now. And so I'm thinking about like, okay, how can I go get a line of credit? How can I go get an investor? How can I maybe get a working capital loan? Like I'm thinking about all the things right now. Heck, 0% interest credit cards. Like
Yeah.
my brain
No,
is
I
going.
utilized it all. And I mean, how I initially got the land, and I was one of those investors in
Mhm.
Houston, smaller Airbnb condos. We used to do okay. I had four or five of them in one unit that, $80,000 to get into the condo, a little bit of overhead from the HOA, but we were doing okay, making 1,000, 2,000 bucks a month paying it down. But once the big time investors came into Houston and it got super oversaturated in that 2019 area, people buying it up, I saw it as a realtor. It came almost difficult because then you were competing at price at that level.
Yeah.
Like you could only use so much creativity in a 1 bedroom condo. You know, like
Yeah.
people don't. They just want to cheap. At that point, they really just want the cheapest and safest place, or buy the most, restaurants or something like that. So yeah, then I decided to come out with this, but I was able, because I was able to put 5% down on the house only using my owner occupied loan. And I did live there for a year technically because we were building out the site and I was
Yeah.
learning the local people. I saved a ton of cash to be able to really put it into this, because if I would have put 20% down to get the land, the house, all that, man, that's tons of capital up front, and it would have been almost impossible to build these type of units getting those type of loans. So utilizing those and kind of land hacking is the community has kind of called it, where you have the equity play too at the front
Right.
of the house. These are some of the mirror house especially is an equity play. The dome is a little more subjective on how much it would
Sure.
appraise, even though the infrastructure, it's a commercially permitted structure in my county. And I haven't got that appraisal, so I don't know how that's going to go. I'm not worried about it right now. But I got a bunch of money for very low interest rate because I used the owner occupied loan, lived there, and I still continue to. There's been about 3 years now. I've had the property, so that was very helpful in the scheme of things too.
So just so I have an understanding of the layout, we got 11 acres, we got a house, we got the mirror house, and we got a geodome, but
Yep.
they're all very well spaced out.
Yeah, very well spaced
Yeah.
out. But we do have another corner that we're about to put more 3 units together that's still out of the way, and do a little bit different concept that we'll tackle soon. So it's just gonna really shoot up from there.
Do you have to pay taxes on any of these once you build them?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. County definitely
Well,
raised our.
more so for
Yeah.
the geodome, I guess is what I'm thinking, since it's not really an equity play. Do they consider that another
Um.
taxable
So
unit?
so so the one thing about it is right now, they haven't, since they haven't come really done a full appraisal, and they just do drive,
Mhm.
especially in my county. They know the everything we have going on, but we pay a very high hotel tax. We're considered a
Okay.
hotel,
Yeah, yeah.
so honestly, it's something I can't even speak on too much because it's kind of a weird limbo for them too. Even though I'm in an area that's a very short term rental based area, what I'm doing is extremely unique to
Sure.
everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
They're
pay a
making
very high
rules for
hotel.
you.
They really are, and they've
Yeah.
been very, very good to work with. I've one thing about it is I really planned ahead with my permitting process, because that would be the one thing that I see so many people trying to do this get held up on, or they have some land and they're like, "Oh, let me try this with it."
Hmm.
If you don't lie to your county, be honest with what you're doing, and then two, really try to have a general idea of what kind of structure, if you're gonna have septic tanks and all that, because they'll make your life way easier. Like, and I brought my business plan to the county, and this is the type of thing they're trying to add on, and they're making they're making some good hotel tax off me, definitely.
Good. Win-win. Both of these houses, the geodome and the mirror house, and this would be a good transition for us to talk a little bit more about the geodome. What's different about managing upkeep, ongoing expenses of those compared to just call it a regular tiny home, or maybe even like an ADU unit in the back of a house?
Sure. So Geodome is surprisingly they're both of I bought the Geodome from a company called Pacific Domes. They're a little pricier, but they've been doing this for a long time, and they were
Okay.
also able to give me the architecture plans, which helped me get it commercially permitted. Geodome is amazing for how for what it can do, and it does amazing. I don't even have. There's an insulation liner they sell that's pretty expensive that I passed on because I'm in Houston and we don't really have that much of in the cold weather, and it did remarkably well in the cold. Now, I will say the heat is a little bit more of a struggle, especially when it's 115 in August in Houston, and or where I'm at in Cold Spring technically. And we have a big AC unit. We had to add another portable AC unit on the other side just to really get past that heat part. We have curtains and other
Okay.
other things. So the Geodome overall, it's an amazing product. The heating of it is a little wonky because it's so tall. It's about 16 feet high, and it's
Oh,
just
wow.
abnormal. But the mirror house, I will say, goes like it's tiny, so a lot of people like the geodome because of the space, but upkeep on the mirror house is next to none. And the geodome,
Wow.
you have to wash the outside. These windows for the mirror house stay remarkably clean. Like my
Really?
cleaner, remarkably clean. Blows
Wow.
even my cleaning team were were pleasantly happy because they thought they were, they're like, oh my God, we have to clean these windows all the time. But
That's what
they
I
stay
was thinking. Yeah.
they stay remarkably clean. We do a deep clean every few months, but that's really the only time we touch them. Like there's been
Wow.
nothing. But yeah, and the dome, I have to give a good washing or have my property, my property help do like a good washing on the outside with soap and like a car wash brush, and
Okay.
you Windex down the big window of the front bay. But overall, they're both pretty great products. Like it's really really surprising. Like the upkeep on the tiny house, I mean on the mirror cabin is definitely better. It's just a better designed product
Sure.
overall. But if I was redoing it, I would have probably just bought the mirror house first outright before even building a geodome. But I do love my geodome and it does great. It's just a lot of people have them and they're a little weirder on the upkeep, but they're not terrible.
So really just extra clean on both and not even that much extra cleaning when it
Yeah,
comes to the mirror
they're
house. So
they're
that's yeah,
very similar to regular houses overall.
that's awesome. So my question, just from a guest perspective, is if I'm going to book a geodome, what should I be expecting as the feel, the experience on that compared to just again a tiny house?
I think the height of the ceilings really gets people, and I think it's one of those things where if you've never been in it, it's hard to explain it, and that's kind of just a big overview of when you walk in,
That's
and
beautiful.
the ceilings go up to about I think they're about 16, 18 feet, and just that different, like being just so different from things people have done. There's cabins everywhere, there's A-frames everywhere. There's also, there's quite a bit of just regular old glamping tents. But in the area that I'm in, there's not much competition. And, we installed a luxury bathroom inside of
Yeah.
it. It has, that type of space. We really wanted to make people feel like they were in, the luxury amenities they're used to from home, but then just something so unique. And then at that point, too, they become our marketing anyways for us. They post all the content, and it's so eye-catching that other people are instantly interested in wondering what it is themselves.
It literally looks like you took the walls and the roof off of a house and you just put a big old jungle gym around it and put a tent on top of that. Like
Yeah,
that's kind of what it looks like. Even when you went to that kitchen photo, it was like there was actually a wall that stopped right at a
yeah,
normal height there, and
yeah,
then the ceiling just keeps on going after that.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
wild.
yeah, on that back side is where the bathroom is, and I need to arrange a couple of these pictures a little differently now. I'm noticing right now, which is great. Great. Yeah,
No,
reconnaissance right now.
this is
But
great.
yeah, and
So
then you see out the front side too.
yeah. And then your TV is almost like it looks almost like one of those hospital
Yep.
cart things
People
because
can move it
it's not,
around.
yeah,
Yep.
because it's not on a wall. That's interesting. So my question is, you said about 350 a night, 90% occupied for the mirror house. What about the geodome house? What do those numbers?
We're about 270 a night, and we're about 90% occupied on that one as well. On the weekends, and especially right now, we're technically even on our slow season. Like obviously, summer is amazing over here. We'll be able to get about 339 per night on the weekends, in the geodome, and we're at 399. I think we'll probably stay there, just because I mean, I could raise the price at the mirror house, but it's also one of those things. Like at some point, I'm like, man, I don't know. I just feel bad at some point too, like just pricing people out of it,
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
completely out of it. So, but I haven't gotten any backlash.
Wow.
We have amazing reviews, and our weekends stay booked too. Our weekdays
Oh
are,
yeah.
we've done a few tricks, but we're booked out months in advance on the weekends.
So when when you're looking at right the geodome house and you're thinking about making it unique and different and it just not quite reaching that mirror house number, do you think there's is it just because there's more geodomes in the area and that the mirror house is just a one and one off and like no one
Yep.
else is going to get
Yep.
that anywhere?
Yep. That's the main reason I can, just from my experience, really, really justify it. There are a couple of more amenities over there that we add. Like there's the sauna as well that the company makes, which I didn't even necessarily want a sauna, but they were the ones that were like, hey, you should do the sauna because nobody has a sauna really. And then I kind of thought about it. Just being in Houston, it's its own sauna when you walk outside, but marketing wise, it was the best choice I made, because then we have the outdoor bath, outdoor shower that's off this. It's in a little bit better spot. I'd say it's the jewel of our land personally. So that adds to it as well. But if you put these neck and neck, the mirror house would definitely get a little more because it is a little more unique.
Cool. But the Geo house was really just slightly less when it came to the setting up and purchasing
Yeah.
and building and everything. Okay.
Yeah. If you take the infrastructure numbers out for just because they kind of skew things in different ways,
Sure.
the build they were pretty close, maybe just slightly less on the geodome.
So I know I asked about upkeep, but what about your team? Does anything change in regards to this? I mean, I would assume with the mirror house, maybe there's an expectation, or the geodome house, maybe there's an expectation of presentation upon arrival with, goodies or things like that, that maybe a house doesn't have to have. Is there anything about prepping the house with your team that needs to be done that maybe you wouldn't be doing with a normal house?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I have a full-time cleaning team that pretty much handle everything now. And I handle all my units, and they definitely had a learning curve to some of the things. But in the end, if you've got I tried out, 6 or 7 different cleaners on my own personal house and other places before I found out who was good, and people that, are really interested in, working and making a difference. They knock it out the park every time, and we learn as we go. These are all very nuanced. There's things I'm learning all the time, and this is when you connect with people. Even I just got off before I got off the call here, I was on a consulting call with a guy in the UK who owns the biggest glamping site over there,
Mm,
picking his brain about a bunch of things that, figuring out ways that are very nuanced, that only people that really do this type of thing are going to be able to really help you answer. And so, and there's been a lot of people that have had this guidance for me throughout the time, that, your best friend isn't going to be doing these type of weird things you're thinking of. They're not going to be able to really give you insight. Maybe, I don't know, if so, you have great friends. But so yeah, so I'm always learning, and my team is learning, and we're just gradually getting better and learning from other experience, and being in Facebook groups and all the different education out there. You pick up little tidbits to
yeah.
implement in your own business, and that's how you really get a fine-tuned system.
One of the things we're always talking about is, the more unique, the more amazing the experience, the more likely you're going to have a return guest. So
Sure.
how many return guests, if you had to ballpark it percentage wise, do you feel like you have?
We're pretty high. We're still a little bit newer, but I'd say we're probably in the 15 or 20% that have
It's
at
awesome.
least rebooked, or came, or at least like shown a lot of encouragement on rebooking, probably for the summer. And we do that with different, I didn't touch on it fully, but we do give a small welcome basket with just some little goodies. We also have another small basket that's kind of like in case you forgot something thing, with like little toothbrush packet, little eye mask, earplugs, couple small things that most people never use, but if somebody really does want it, they'll be there. And then, we do a lot of email marketing. We do all types of small things to bring people back, but really just creating that experience, and then figuring out a way to get back in touch with them. That's why we do a lot of direct booking. So we always control the guest anyways, as far as their to market back to them. It's not like Airbnb, where
Sure.
we have methods that we could get it, but because we do so much upfront marketing, keeping the guests most of the time after that is pretty relatively easy. And, always a good little promo code if they were a good guest. It helps entice them, and there's no harm off you if they were a good guest. Those are the best to come back anyways.
Garrett, what have I not asked you about running this kind of business that you feel is important for people to know?
I think some people don't realize how much of the hospitality industry is involved with the Airbnb short-term rental side. You got to be successful in two fronts when you're doing this: the real estate side, the investing part of it, how you get the property, and then also the back end hospitality side, whether it's you or you're building the infrastructure of people that will be able to help you implement that hospitality side to keep this going. Because it is, there are, and especially in some markets, say you're not doing this as unique of a property, you're really going to have even more competition out there. So I would definitely just recommend making sure you're understanding the principles of, and even as you talk about how to bring guests back, like the hospitality side mixed with a little bit of marketing, mixed with some real estate. There's different fronts, and don't be afraid to reach out to other people and get their advice, or and take that education very seriously.
Awesome. Garrett, where can people follow you? And especially if they're like, hey, I want to know how to go get one of these and start running this business, where can they find you?
Sure. So you can find me on like the glamping page is Cameron Ranch Glamping, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that jazz. And then I also have another Instagram that's a little more personal real estate side called Nice Flipping Choice. And yeah, so you can
And you're
contact me
also a
there.
realtor.
Yep, I am a realtor. I got the itch for a lot of this, even though realtor side isn't necessarily for me. The one thing great about real estate is there's a million ways to like find what you like and make it a successful business for you.
Awesome. Garrett Brown, man, this has been a very fun and unique conversation about glamping. Thank you so much for jumping on to the Fearless Investors podcast and helping our audience to conquer the world of short-term rentals, especially the glamping ones.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, guys, as usual, we've got the links down in the description or the show notes for you so you can go take a look, but connect with Garrett if this is something that you want to do. You can definitely get some help from him, and you can just get some inspiration from his website alone. That's going to do it for us here on the Fearless Investors podcast, where we're helping you to conquer the world of short-term rentals. We'll see you next time.